Hello.
Mr. Mendez?
Present.
Mr. Wood?
Present.
Mr. DeSono, absent. Mr. Cole?
Present.
Mrs. Curley?
Present.
Mr. Callen?
Present.
Mrs. Brown, absent.
Your motion to accept the minutes from the last regular meeting of February 16th.
So moved, Mr. Chairman, is read.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Callen, seconded by Mr. Cole to accept. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? We'll do the continued case 9732, 124 River Street. Wait a minute, can I just... Is anybody here for Broad Street? Anyone here for Broad Street? Oh, I'll take that after.
Ready? Ready enough?
So here are the full-size copies of the plans which we did receive, and the drainage plan.
So I'm J. Michael Sullivan, I'm an architect of Habitat and Planning, and I'm glad you got the full-size plans and the drainage, and the drainage plans are part of this set. And I'll just, if you'd like, I'll just walk through what it is that we've changed since last time. We came in front of you, and I also want to pass out a letter from the civil engineer who reviewed my drawings and substantiated the drainage system that I'm anticipating we're going to do on the site. So the large drawing is the new survey plan. You'll just that for a moment. So the new survey plan is basically showing the location of the parking spots, which are 5 feet off the property line adjacent line. It also shows a drainage or landscaping berm element that we're proposing to put along the property line to further prevent any kind of potential water going over in that direction. Those are the primary drainage.
So it's going to be a button next door, Mrs. Farley's area.
It's separating.
Yeah, that's right. It's a 12-inch right around.
Right.
2 minutes.
No, it'll be land, it'll be earth. It'll be, if you look at the landscape plan, what we want to do is berm that, and we want to put shrubs along the top of that berm.
Right.
And pitch the rest of this, admittedly a very flat site,
It is.
to an existing catch basin, develop a rain garden around that catch basin, so that it's always able to work even in the cold winter months.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, we'll see in the weather, the gravel will go down. Fine.
Yeah, I have great questions on that, but do the presentation first.
Okay, so the rest of the landscaping is basically introducing some shrubs along the perimeter. You can see the types of shrubs that we've selected here, and trees along the streetscape. The backyard will be grass. And I think those are the primary components of addressing landscaping, drainage, and the size of the drawings and the things that we're basically trying to address.
All right.
Okay, so I think that concludes my presentation.
All right. Now, I'm on the last meeting, I specifically asked to go into that catch basin, see what type it is, that frame and the weight, what is it on? Is it a dry well or the pipes connected to it?
There's no pipes connected to it.
To the city's contract. So it's a drywall type thing. And that is up too high right now. Now, these grades that you show, in the legend it shows tenths and hundreds, and the spindle is tenths and hundreds. You use that as your benchmark.
I'm sorry,
The spindle on a fire hydrant.
I used the grading plan that a surveyor did a few years ago as a benchmark to be able to
That I
establish.
can't read that. Oh, that's a problem. There's another sheet, very clear. I'm going
So
I want to keep going, and see if we can resolve this tonight.
Okay.
Even if it is with stipulations or something.
good, great.
So, but, Mrs. Dowdy mentioned in one of her remarks, there was a low spot there, there is.
There's a single,
Yeah, there is. All right, so, now these grades they have, are they the finished grades or the existing? Usually you have the existing and the finished grades on the same plan.
well, those are, these are the existing grades, and these are the proposed grades.
Yeah, one of them shows a low spot too. If you see the spindle, what do we do? We gotta resolve this water.
Well, if the issue is what we're gonna do with the low spot, we're gonna fill it with the
No,
low
of
spot.
course, yeah, it goes without saying, but you have to mention it. It doesn't show it being filled, it shows it low.
Well, yeah, but I'm showing the grade at a higher point than the hole is at.
Okay, now, do you agree that the grade there is the low, or, it's a separate sheet. Oh, here it is.
Can I ask a question while, Mrs. Gurley? Mrs. Gurley? Can I ask a question while we're?
Of course.
I think one of the concerns of the neighbor, and I don't know if you can speak to this, and I don't remember how we spoke to this the last time. I don't know that our concern is necessarily runoff, so much as it is the weight of the house pushing down and seepage coming up into our basement. And can you explain how, if at all, you've addressed that concern, or if that's a concern of yours?
It's not a concern of mine. I mean, the weight of the house is on the foundations. It's carried on the foundation.
No problem.
Yeah, it's no, are we sure that's no problem? Because I think that's our concern.
Yeah, see, there's two other issues too. There was a gentleman from the neighborhood said that the groundwater, we have no control over that. It is, we go and put it, the dye comes in there and it infiltrates the area and comes up and goes down. We can't control that. That's nature. And
Well, it's nature, except that.
as far as the weight of the house,
I'm not an engineer, but it seems to make sense that if you have this weight of the house going down, it's going to displace some of the groundwater that would otherwise be.
It's going to withdraw. That's what it does.
I think that's her concern, but I was just wondering if that was addressed, or if there's any way of mitigating that, or if there was any discussion about that. So there isn't.
Because I don't think that's a problem.
You don't think that's a problem?
I don't know how you be able to quantify what the hydrostatic pressure is on a piece of land that goes acres and acres. What's the impact of that? It's minuscule. There's already a bunch of buildings on top of that. They're pushing the weight down. Adding one more house and what the effect of that that would be a pretty significant study to be able out. I can't believe we would have that. Groundwater is going to find its place.
So your belief is that it's an insignificant
I believe that it's an insignificant
work?
okay.
The other thing to remember, sir, is that this house is being built on piles. It's a flow-through foundation, so there's no, it's it's not, there isn't slab underneath the house. There's going to be gravel underneath.
So there's still a lot of space on the lot for groundwater to even come up on this lot itself.
The only displacement will be the piles themselves.
So it's not like a trampoline where you put something down and the other side pops up. That's not the way this works.
Let me continue. So now we have that berm, there's an earthen berm, and there's an open spot near the end towards the property line. Is there any way for you to, you're gonna have to lower this rate from what I see, you know, to make it right. You're gonna have to lower this with the engineer again and see, that looks to me like it's up too high. You're using this as a benchmark right here. It says diagram. So external elevation 10.84, which is about 9.5 inches.
So the intention of the final site plan is that the catch basin is the lowest part. These grades push,
Because
this way, they push that way, build them up,
All right.
so that the catch basin and the rain garden are the lowest point in the backyard.
Okay, now see the space in here. Is there any way to put a swale into it?
Be happy to.
You know what I mean? So that Mrs. Doherty,
We'll be able, I wouldn't mind, and it's a good idea to just continue that berm and do a right turn. Let that berm come along and then take it a little bit back on this side, so that it's got an angle.
well, yeah, but I'm only saying, if she has trouble in the future, say her lot runs down towards the back of the house, and her driveway pitches towards the house, which is bad. Nothing you can do about it, it's there. What you're doing here is you're correcting this lot, and you're doing a good job at it. I can say I've read this over and over. But if you can, in case anything that's going here, that a swale would take it into that cash basin.
I think that's a very good idea, and that should be a condition.
Okay, that would be a stipulation.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Now, the other, as far as the parking plan, it doesn't conform to local building codes. Because it's 9 feet by 18. See, there's a 5-foot buffer zone all around property lines that you can't park on. So it's 18 feet, if you've got 20 here, you should have like 23 feet. Up here, that means you're gonna have to, what is right here?
That's the front porch.
Okay, probably gonna have to move the house back.
Okay.
With the parking, if you look over the ordinance, it's 9 by 18 plus the 5 feet,
Okay.
okay? So it's the center mark and everything, just tell me what it's like. All right.
So we'll move the building back 5 feet.
Well, if you move it back to a minimum of 20, see where that says 20?
Yep.
23 feet, that's 18.5.
Okay.
Now check me on that.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that. I would have definitely done that had I known it.
That's right, see, we have to have a final drawing for the record, and all that stuff goes to the registry of deeds, say it forever. We want to make sure that we didn't enact this and said it was all right, and it isn't. It's the old parking,
Okay.
which they changed last year or the year before. Okay, so as far as the drainage, you looked at that, you're gonna look at that, and you know that is a dry well. What the capacity is, we don't know. But it seems to be enough, it was enough for 2 lots before.
Well, we're going to increase
No, but
the...
I'm saying, it served 2 lots before.
Right.
Now it serves 1. That's just better. Right? And the other thing, how many elevations do we have on the 2 elevations? There should be 4.
Okay.
Like there's 2. We need 2 more. See what the other 2 sides are.
All right, one of the things that we have done in in response to some of the comments is cut down the number of windows on the elevation facing Mrs. Doherty.
Well, that's why we want to see the
And that's
elevation.
one of the elevations I've shown. So I can definitely show the other 2
There's 2
elevations.
missing.
Okay.
think I covered everything, if anyone has any questions.
I have a question. There was a condition that you would agree to, and I didn't hear entirely what it was
And about the swale.
about the,
Here, I'll show you. Right here, the issue is how to deal with this corner,
oh, okay.
and the condition would be that we'll introduce a swale, basically a continuation of that berm that would go around the,
All the way down to the drywall?
well, I don't know if it'll go all, it'll go down some, probably back, contour.
Is this to prevent runoff from going to that?
This is, the whole idea is to push the water
Push
towards
the water
that
towards the
catch basin.
One other thing, and I'm not sure if this was addressed, one of the concerns with the house that was here, that's behind it, was the height. So is there, I'm just putting it out there as a suggestion, that we have a condition or a stipulation that the height not exceed the, I think the ridge height on this, I calculated it to a little bit over 29 feet, so not to exceed 30 feet, so that we don't have the same problem with the house.
I was gonna ask if this
Well,
house gonna be on
well,
stilts
wait a
like the
minute.
other one?
That means he has to change the plan to that.
Is this house gonna be on stilts like the original one you built?
It's on, no, it's 3 feet off of the grade, the first floor grade, so it's not gonna be 7 or 8 steps up to the front first floor.
Just because you're afraid of water?
Well, it's also because we're sensitive to the concerns of the neighbors, and that house got too high, because the first floor is too high.
No, I know, but the original house you built was really too high.
Right.
All right, so you want a stipulation not to exceed 30
Not to
feet?
exceed 30.
No problem with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what's proposed, so.
Yeah, well, they get 28 one place, and if you add it up, it's 29, 2.5.
Yeah, I was just adding,
Yeah.
to add a little,
Yeah.
That's 30 feet from grade, that includes the 3 feet of.
30 feet from grade.
Yeah.
That was what I calculated on the height.
Yeah,
And I think zoning is 35, isn't it?
35 feet, yeah. Stick with what you can.
Stick with 30.
Yeah, that's my suggestion, not to exceed. You know, so some engineers can do my measurement.
We appreciate
And if it's more than that, you can cut the roof down or something. And so, okay, and, let me see.
Just a clarification, Janet was wondering, you would talk about moving the house back, and I don't think she got how much it was getting back.
Well, I gotta move it back, so there's a 5-foot buffer, plus the 18 feet for the parking space. And it's gotta be changed from 8.5 feet to 9.
So we're
It's
gonna have,
gotta
So it's
reflect,
going to be moved back, how many feet?
Is it 5 feet?
This, well, 320 is 28.
will
Must
be,
be 18.
will be 23, you get 18 and 3.
Because it's supposed to be.
But I'm willing to say we're gonna move back 5 feet, just to be safe. That we
He's required to be 18
that's it,
feet.
I won't hurt it.
And it's also, there's an angle on the property, just so that 20 feet is not in the,
Yeah. He mentioned that they were gonna set the house so it's gonna be handicapped at that level on the front porch. Could you go over that article again?
yeah, well, the design of the house on the first floor is that it's accessible, so that the size of the doors and the passageways are wide enough to be able to provide access. If, one of the reasons we want to keep it is we want to be able, if we have a handicapped person, to be able to get a ramp up to the first floor.
Yes.
And clearly, you know, the other one wouldn't be able to do it. So at 3 feet, we're going to have a ramp that would be taken up in this area,
Over here.
would be in this area.
Oh, yeah. Okay, but you don't show that, that's
And
awesome.
because we're not going to build it.
No, I'm saying,
If we end up building it, we'll come back.
all right, so you do have enough room
And now that you brought up the 5 feet, we have a little bit more room.
to, yeah, right. All right, okay. And, I think that was just about everything I had.
Now, the landscape. Where you have holly bushes and rhododendron, we discussed it should be arborvitae
Okay. Why?
for the neighbor. Is that what you asked for arborvitae?
Well, I got pictures that I would like to show. Okay?
And that's also in Mr. Capano's letter, original letter about the lighting.
But it's not trees either.
What?
It's not trees on their property either, because I don't want to be cleaning up their leaves.
What was that?
Too overrated. I don't
Well, the
want.
only place that,
She's on the,
there's a couple of yellow birch trees. But they
And
don't,
dogwood and
yeah,
some,
the dogwoods that we use.
Yeah, but if they have leaves and the leaves fall, the wind blows it over.
Well, these trees, a Japanese zelkova, a yellow birch, they're not even, they're not leaf, what do I want to say? They don't shed, right? Deciduous, yeah, thank you. And the property has to look good. You know what I mean? It has to look good. But these don't shed leaves.
As long as they don't shed leaves, because I'm too old to read. My back won't do it.
well, we're willing to change the yellow birch to conifers, evergreens that, you know, would never have any kind of leaves. Those trees do have leaves and they're gonna
I
fall.
know, but they're this,
There's two of them, I know there's,
way back.
okay, so no leafy plants.
I'd like to suggest we do leafy plants along the street. Those far away from Mrs. Doherty.
Yeah, well, it's not
But
going
and the
to
two birch trees, I can sympathize with her a little bit on that because they are close to her property and
I know about raking leaves, believe me.
May I say one thing? My name is Donna Couture.
Oh,
It's
it
Donna
says,
Doherty
I'm
Couture,
sorry.
but it's Couture.
okay.
well, it says on the plan.
Well, yeah,
That's why they didn't.
All right, always stand correct.
that's okay. I'm Donna Doherty Couture.
Oh, couture, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
At any rate, we're willing to swap the birch trees for some pine trees, conifers that don't.
Okay, let's still beautify it. And who's the landscape architect on this one? Okay. So you prefer those, but,
And we'll do the arborvitae's, we can swap those, to put those
Yeah.
against her property.
How big are they gonna be? How tall?
the calipers and height, well, you have them there, so.
I had calipers on the pepper points and the rhododendrons and the holly, and the height was 24 to 36 inches when they were planted. So those are going to need to be trimmed, but they'll be trimmed after 5 or 6 years.
What's the height capacity?
The arborvitae, they can go 5 or 6 feet high.
Well, they have my,
When I'm allowed to speak, I have my stipulations.
Well, you have stipulations?
I would like stipulations put in there on my.
Okay, so,
You should have really gotten together with them before the meeting tonight.
Well,
yeah. In other words, we want to proceed and finish it going on for months and months and months. And now we're down to landscape. You know? Okay.
And I want to read here what Mr. Capano's letter, that he would approve this, providing. Yes.
Sure. If the board decides to grant this petition, I would ask that these following stipulations be considered. Proposed home should be set back as not to impede the view of oncoming traffic. Done. Proposal should make every effort to avoid surface runoff and stormwater, including roof drains from entering adjacent property. Looks like it's been satisfied.
Yes.
Proposed home shall be the home proposed as shown to the ZBA. And if it's not, if something happens, if it gets built differently, then there'll be an issue granting the occupancy permit. But we're expecting you to build.
Well, we're showing
that.
Right. Well, you didn't do that the first time, that's why.
I know you like that.
I know, many times.
There, you think the ridge line construction.
Every time you come here, I remind you.
Yeah, I don't know if we can enforce this one, but this was, work shall be performed no earlier than 9 a.m. and no later
That's usually 7.
than 5 p.m. I mean, the city
So
is
that's what
7.
Mr. Capano
Yeah.
So, Madam Chair, we just have a request that that be posted at 8:30 in the morning instead of 9.
That's fine.
So,
All right.
Work shall not be performed on Sunday. buffer consisting of arborvitae's or similar shrubbery shall line the fence of the adjacent property.
Is there gonna be a fence?
There won't be a fence. We're planning a fence.
This is Couture, I believe, has a fence.
It's not.
Is that your
That
fence?
belongs to the, that was the GE,
Right, there is a fence there between the two
but
properties.
it's, hold on, it's rusting away.
But we don't know what's going on, it's a private meeting over here. Could you,
Sorry.
someone saying that, Mr. Chairman, would you
And
please?
there's one more. The developer shall use accepted best practices for use of non-impervious surfaces. If these conditions can be met, I would recommend approval, but also your respect the wishes of the board. Thank you for your time, Councilor.
That's good.
Are we adding all those as stipulations?
Yes.
Okay, just a question.
You have 1 minute.
Okay, after the butter, I want to know what my rights are for stipulations, okay? Because before Habitat came in on the property, all right, this was my wisteria that was on my side of the fence. I mean, there's different pictures, and this was May 30th of 2009. My mother planted this from seed. Okay? And GE used to take care of it, and you'll see, we used to sit underneath it, the shade. My wisteria was over 12 feet high. And we trimmed it and kept it that way. And that kept all the trash out of our yard. And it kept, and it was beautiful, and everybody used to take pictures of it when it was in bloom. Now, they came along, and they were, and you could see the pictures of them when they were still building, okay? And they came along, didn't even knock on the door, and you could very well see that the roots of the wisteria were in our yard, not in the GE lot. And they didn't even have the courtesy to knock on the door and find out who owned it. And they just chopped it right down to the fence level. And my mother and I cried. It has not.
Yeah, I know. Excuse me. I can hear good.
I'm sorry.
When did that happen?
Back in 2009. This was after it was.
So that's 7 years ago.
Right. Okay? And I couldn't, and I went to him and I said, why did you do that? You didn't even ask.
Who's him?
Mr. Preston and his crew. And he said, oh, so what? It has not grown back since, and they stated on the thing that the shrubbery is 8 feet high. Now, but then they've hacked at it since, and you can see through the fence, and it's not grown back since. And that was on my lawn, my property.
So, could you replace that wisteria? Is there a problem with that or something?
There's no way to replace it.
Wait a minute, I'm asking, I'm trying to help you. We're trying to resolve this. And I don't know how many questions you have, we have other cases here too. We have to get busy. And, would you be acceptable for that? I mean, I don't know what it is, 12-foot wisteria. Probably doesn't have to be, and how fast they grow.
Well, I think I think the thing to do is be able, if the wisteria is the plant that's along the property line, is really to blend that in and work that with the berm and try to do what we can to either replace some of the wisteria or get the wisteria back to be helped, to understand why it's not doing very well.
Okay.
But I think that whole area.
Well, I would like to know if you would kindly, because that fence is all rotted, and you're gonna keep cutting back on the wisteria for your property, and it's gonna keep thinning out, because something happened to it, and I don't know what's going on your side, but something happened to it. What I would like to request is if you would replace it with 12-foot arborvitae's. And you can get mature arborvitae's.
That's kind of a high order.
Yeah, I'm not.
Well, I'm just-
willing to-
These people are all volunteers and they do work to build houses, but
I
people
understand
need
that,
it.
but they ruined the curb appeal of my property.
Oh, no. I see you have pictures, but how do you know that they did it? or what happened. See, we can't get into neighborhood fights like that. We have to settle this one way or the other.
Well,
And if they're willing to help you on
because we were there when they already had it halfway cut down, and I went out and I approached them.
but that's ancient history now, do you agree? Is there
No.
any way you can help her with that special?
That's what I was recommending before, when we're gonna be putting the berm up there, it would be worthwhile to take a look at what's on the other side, make sure it's healthy.
If it was healthy, it would be growing.
It would be growing, and it's not.
Well, we don't know if it's just been cut back, I don't know.
But if it's been like that for 7 years and it's not growing, then something is wrong.
It's not gonna happen.
I don't know what happened.
You can't-
I don't know.
Well, it's your right to say
Excuse me, excuse me.
I just don't know what happened.
You can't cut it down that much, it does not grow back. That's the
Well,
problem.
to be honest,
I don't know who cut it down.
exactly, I don't know why we would.
Is it alive?
Excuse me, sir.
Is it alive?
It happened half, and Mr. Preston knows, but he won't open his mouth. You cut it down with your
We
fruit.
trimmed it, yes.
You didn't trim it, you cut it right down to the fence. That's not trimming.
We had a notice from the city of Lynn that that was overgrown into the lot. And that it grows into the lot continually. And so we need to trim everything on that side of the
Trim
fence.
up, that's what the GE always did. They
Well,
trimmed
that's
it
what
up.
we've done, is trimmed up.
You cut
So
it to
it's
the
right
fence
now
line.
growing, it's well over 10 feet high.
It's not 10 feet high.
To try to bring this to an end, Madam Chair, what I just spoke with my client, and what we would suggest is that as part of the conditions that an arborist be hired to review the current planting and to make suggestions with regard to new plantings that will establish a vegetated barrier between the two properties. It's a little hard for us to say tonight exactly what's necessary, exactly why the arborvitae, or excuse me, why the wisteria isn't growing. There could be any number of reasons why it's not growing well. So rather than, have a condition which says it has to be 12-foot arborvitae, which I think is not cost effective, we certainly would agree to hire an arborist to review the entire situation with a goal in mind. The goal is to have a vegetated barrier to provide privacy for Mrs. Couture, which is fair, and that way we'll have a professional provide us with some services and suggestions. Is that
I think that's a good response. If you can do it within, we can make that as a stipulation.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have a time frame to do that. And it's gonna be presented in time so the board can look at it. Because I'm gonna make a motion to grant the petition. I believe me, you people do a great job, and we gotta keep going. There was 2 houses on there before, and there was a lot of families. And this is only a single-family home. They just built a 20-unit apartment house just down the street recently. This is one family. So we have a certain amount of time, get all this together, so the board can review it. And then, if they all approve, then our secretary files it, and then it starts from there. Okay, now how much time, Mr. Chairman, usually we say by Wednesday, by Thursday noon time, but this is gonna be a little more work for you. How about a week from Friday, we can file it, that's all right with the board, like we did before.
So what are you suggesting? Are you suggesting that we grant this tonight if we're going to?
Yes,
And then what happens if nobody's happy with what their offers, proposals? Then what?
well, it's up to the board to decide that, not nobody else, the hearing will be over. It's up to
I
us.
understand.
Okay. So, all right, now.
Can we get it on this in a week or two?
Do you have all the stipulations down?
Yes.
Email, paper?
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm gonna add the ones that Council Capano listed,
Yeah.
as well as
You
introduce
might as
the
well just
swale.
take this letter so you can.
Okay. And then I have 4 that, but I'm not sure, maybe on the 5th one would be arborist and the barrier for privacy, how am I wording that last one?
What's that, the others, could you repeat that for our?
So I just spoke with my client, we're not sure that we're going to be able to get an arborist in a week or two. So my suggestion is that we would have an arborist proposal prepared in connection with the development of the project, and that the proposal be acceptable to the board before issuance of a certificate of occupancy.
No, they can't wait that long, that's how, no. Let me tell you how it's gonna work most times. It'd be not this week, we usually give the clients, we say by 10 o'clock Thursday, get it all that together, so it gives the board time to review it. It gives our secretary time to get it together and file it. But we're gonna extend it one more week. And you gotta do it then, if you can't do it, then that's up to you.
So, just speaking, may I say something?
Yeah, sure.
And this is just as being a landscape gardener and a landscape architect, one of the things I think would be valuable in this case is to see what the condition of the wisteria is. And speaking on behalf of whoever the arborist is, the health of what's out there now is going to have an impact on what those recommendations would be. I do think that before the certificate of occupancy is too long, but I think that it would be better for us to be able to do something, in May, when we're getting an idea of how the wisteria is operating in the springtime.
I don't like that, I won't make the motion to approve it that way.
Okay.
It's, we usually don't do this, but as we go so on, we want to make sure everyone is reasonably happy with it. You've got to move on it. And there's the plan here, there's a plan here that's a little fuzzy, you got to clear that up. And, and the two other elevations, you got all those written down? Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, you can read them all back now, and number them.
The very first house you built, the landscaping isn't done yet. That's 7 years ago. And when I asked about the landscaping, I was told, this board was told, that that was going to be done when this house was built. So that's why we're not waiting for landscaping, because it didn't happen the first time.
Okay. Now,
I'm going away tomorrow, and I will not be back until Friday.
well, that's all right. After tonight, it's up to the board to decide. If the public hearing will be over. And
Yeah?
And I'm going to add to that motion that no use of occupancy permit between unless it meets the approval of all authorities having jurisdiction. Okay?
What was that last one? I didn't hear.
Unless that all the stipulations, whatever is on the plans here, meets the approval of all authorities having jurisdiction, there will be no use of occupancy permit be granted until that's satisfied.
But how are we handling this arborist thing? Is that a stipulation, or is that?
They're gonna have to bring that within our time zone to finalize it so she can file it. Otherwise, we can't file it. If they don't get that on time, and I'm sure they can, I don't care, get another arborist or something, do the best you can.
Isn't the problem with the arborist that it's March and it's still cold out, and you're not really gonna know the health of a plant until you get to...
Mr. Sauer, I'm sure you can do it.
Okay. Okay.
March 25th.
March 25th.
March 25th.
Is that Friday?
Yes.
Okay, now we have to have it in your hands, so you can email it to all members, by 2 days before that, right?
No, I'll file on the 25th.
Yeah, but when are we gonna review all these changes and stipulations? 2 days before,
Okay.
and you email them to us like you've done before?
Yep, so that would be the 23rd.
Okay, is that clear about that deadline too? Because she's gonna have time to do her work.
So that really
That's next week.
right, that's only giving us a week to opportunity.
Yeah, but usually we only give people a couple of days,
Yeah.
and they come through all the time. Wants to change it to 2 days, no? I mean,
Okay, so just so that we're clear, you're looking for an arborist to review the site and make a recommendation?
yes, tell me, ASAP, that's all. Because we'll go on, and we get so many people here, we
I'm
can.
sure. And the recommendation is to review the health of the wisteria and to make a recommendation to
But that
restore.
isn't the only thing. There's other changes in the plans.
Right, understood.
So you gotta wrap all them up together. You know, Mr. Sullivan is a label to that.
So do you need me to just recap?
Yes.
Okay,
please.
so the first,
And for the board.
right, we had Mr. Councilor Capano's recommendations, all of which were generally incorporated into the revisions already, or to be incorporated, with the exception that we had requested that construction could start at 8:30 instead of 9, which I think everybody agreed to. The second was that the drainage plan would provide that the berm would be continued around the rear of the house in the fashion that Mr. Sullivan was suggesting, so that water would be directed to the, what's going to be a rain garden
And a catch basin.
and a catch basin.
Yes.
The second item was to change the configuration of the parking spaces so that they respected the 5-foot setback on the property line requirement, and also to change the location of the house by 5 feet so that the parking spaces would fit in the area
Yes.
generally suggested. So the next item was to show a total of 4 elevations of the house in the plan. Right now, we have 2 elevations
Yes.
shown, so we'll show
Yeah.
two additional elevations. And to clearly stipulate that the height of the house will not exceed 30 feet at the ridge line.
Yes.
Okay, and that's 30 feet from grade, not 30 feet from the top of the foundation. The next stipulation was that arborvitaes would be planted along the berm, and would be, here's where I'm just going to try to say this clearly, would be consistent with a planting plan to be recommended by an arborist. The planting plan is to be, or plan of action is to be submitted by the 22nd of March? Is that right?
Oh, she has a calendar, I don't know.
That's a Tuesday?
So Wednesday, right?
It's the 22nd is Tuesday.
Oh,
Is that enough time for you?
Wednesday, what?
Wednesday is okay.
Okay, so by the, so
Let's
the,
have no time or something.
Sure.
okay, so the recommendation of the arborist for a planting and screening plan will be submitted to your secretary by the 23rd by email, so that it can be distributed to members of the board for review and approval. And the screening plan is intended to review the health of the wisteria, and to make recommendations with regard to both planting and screening.
Yeah, now he's a certified arborist, I mean, so he's an expert in that field.
Right.
There's one other question I get for Mr. Sullivan. I noticed in the section through the house that the middle footing is up higher than the others, not being a perimeter footing. Is there any way you can bring that down to the same grade and not put a surcharge on the foundation?
We could, to bring the footing,
The same level.
we could, it's not necessary because it's outside the frost line, but we could bring that down.
Yeah, but it's colder there, right? But I'm only thinking of the road on the side of the house, or putting this higher surcharge down at the ends, that doesn't enter in it?
No,
All right,
no,
well,
but,
then leave it as is.
so the next meeting is gonna focus in on the arborist.
Yeah, I think we're going to close the public hearing today.
Yeah.
It's going to be
I
run
think
in.
it will be closed. It's all in the board reviewing,
Okay,
and it's set up. And if you have any plans, a fuzzy reading, like, say on one sheet here, with all those elevations, even if you use a spyglass, you know, so look them all over, make sure they're all together. Just one at much time to correct them.
Well, that's why I'm getting concerned. Are you thinking of all these changes that are going to be submitted on the 23rd?
They're not that many changes, believe me.
Well,
I mean, as far as I'm
you know,
concerned,
this has to be relayed out by a surveyor to be able to relocate the house.
yeah,
That in itself is going to take, you know, the better lion's share of a week.
I can't help you with that. There's people who come in here and they do it the next day. And they crank out a clarification part. They don't have to change, you know, just include it with the plans. Parking plan is all separate, that's, they do it.
Well, so just to be clear, we're looking at another submission for next week. Yeah. That's what they're asking. Judging from the surveyor, I think we should push it back to the next time. Because it takes me a while to get just the survey to straighten out this guy.
So that means your building permit's gonna be extended by another month.
Yeah. Tom, you think we can get this guy to turn something around in a
Yeah,
day?
can you put that as an amendment to your plans and get a separate sheet from the
It's
registered
fine for me.
surveyor?
I can do the site plan, my site plan right away.
Yeah,
You know, I'm worried about somebody I don't have 100% control of. The surveyor.
I can't help you out. I'm trying to get it done for you. You have to go along with it.
Okay.
I have faith that you can do it.
Okay. Thank you.
What is the
Mr. Chairman, there's a motion to move that the petition be granted.
with all the stipulations?
Yep, all stipulations notified, and also that comment I made about that everything be covered, that all authorities having jurisdiction will sign on, and also no E&O will be issued without it. Right.
Second, Jan, I have a question for you. Can you delay the filing?
To, the latest I could go would be Monday. On Monday, I have to file it within the 10 days, business days.
That's Monday the 27th.
Right.
You see, once we close the hearing, we have to move with the dates. That's why we can't.
They just would not be able to file it within the 20 days. If
Yeah.
everything isn't attached to the letter of
That's it.
decision.
Yeah.
So,
She has
All
a,
right.
We'll get it for you next week.
Okay.
Motion made by Mr. Callen, seconded by Mr. Cole to grant. Please call the roll.
Mr. Mendez?
Yes to grant.
Mr. Wood?
Just to go.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Callen?
yes to grant.
Mrs. Curley?
Yes to grant. Do you have my email?
No.
Okay, I'll give it to you, because, I do have your office now.
Next,
I'll
please.
email you everything here. I do, I have a card. Yep, I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Case number 9741, I have a letter here regarding 18 Ward Street. Please be advised that I have recently been retained by Mr. Ross relative to the above matter. The purpose of this communication is to request that this matter be continued on the April 5th, 2016 meeting so as to allow me to authorize myself with the petition before you. Excuse me. Thank you for your anticipated cooperation, John C. Myhost, Attorney John C. Myhost.
Motion to grant. We'll continue it at the next meeting.
Motion made by Mr. Cole, seconded by Mr. Callen, to continue this for the next meeting. Please call the roll.
Mr. Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Wood? Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Callen?
Yes.
Mrs. Curley?
Yes. Case number 9738, 732 Linway.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
We're right in front of her.
Which one is this?
Again?
Yes.
Oh, okay. My name's Ron Demarcus. I represent the petitioner Carl Realty Inc. Ken Carpy, sitting in the corner with the Florida tan, is the principal of Carl Realty, and Matt Leahy from Leahy Landscaping, I also represent him. The property in question, 732 Rear Linway, is the site of the former auction, automobile auction. And a few years ago, that moved to Billerica, and then Mr. Carpenter put another auctioneer in there. Did auto auctions on a smaller basis. And after a couple of years of that, that guy failed. And Mr. Carpenter himself has been in there with his auctioneer's license and doing some limited business in there since the second auctioneer failed. He really has no income from that property. The Carpy family owns 19 pieces of real estate in Lynn. They own 11 on the Linway. The real estate taxes, I was going to get to that, guys.
Jumping ahead of you, sorry.
You want me to explain it? But let me. Do you mind if I just?
Yeah, I can do both, I just want to know what end was what.
Okay, this is the Linway.
Yeah, now I get it.
This is the dump.
How does it tell?
Okay, and this past the dump is the ocean. Okay. So he's had no income from that property, sorry. And the real estate taxes on that one piece of property alone are about $200,000 a year. So Leahy Landscaping is on Sanderson Avenue, where Matt Leahy owns his own yard. But he has owned that yard for a long time, he's grown rapidly. He now has 50 trucks and 100 employees, and that's vastly over capacity for what that yard should have. That's a residential neighborhood. It's not good for the neighborhood for Leahy Landscaping to be in that section of East Lincoln, Sanderson Avenue.
What's the zoning up there?
I think it's residential.
Sanderson Ave?
Yeah.
I think it might be light industrial. It is.
A light industrial. That's the wrong guy. But there's a lot of residential there too. Yeah. So he's reached a deal in principle with Mr. Carpy to lease the part of the former auction site. The former auction site is 7 or 8 acres. Mr. Leahy would lease 3.5 of those acres. And it has a building with 25,500 square feet. Mr. Carpy is using part of that building. Mr. Leahy would coexist in that building with Mr. Carpy. And, the vision for the waterfront that every responsible winner has is that someday Marriott or Hilton or somebody is going to come in and put a hotel there or an office building there or a nice condominium building there, and nobody wants that more than Mr. Carpy and Mr. Leahy for the city of Lynn. But the reality is that that's been the hope for a long time, and that that hope has not been fulfilled. And what we're looking for is to allow Matt Leahy to keep 100 jobs in the city of Lynn, which would probably go outside the city of Lynn if he can't put them at this location because he has not been able to find another suitable location within the city of Lynn. And would allow the Carpy family to at least defray some of their expenses in the form of $200,000 for real estate taxes every year. The beauty of this proposal is that there's no new construction needed, which means that there's no commitment to this parcel. It's not like Matt would have to go in and pour $5,000 into the property to make it work for him. He doesn't have to put anything into the property to make it work for him. It's a good, clean use. He's going to store mulch, crushed stone, plants and flowers that he's going to sell to his customers. And it's a very clean use. The property is barely visible from the Linway. And when I say barely visible, you come over the bridge and you're heading toward downtown. And there's 1 or 2 times where between the buildings you can get a peek of the property way back. But it's set back 600 or 700 feet from the Linway, would you say? 700. What's that?
About 700.
Yeah, about 700 feet from the Linway, set way back there, so it's not very visible. By the way, Walmart, which is next door, Walmart sells many of the same things in its garden center that we're asking that lady to be able to sell on the carpet. They have a garden center with plants and trees and mulch and all that stuff.
Mrs. Marcus,
Yes.
are we talking about the building that was used for auction of cars? That
Yes.
building way back, all by itself?
It has a blue awning that says
Yes,
paint auction.
yes, okay, just want to make sure.
Yes. Part of the beauty here is that Mr. Carpy, for many years, has maintained an auto and truck repair license, in conjunction with that, a flammable license. And he had there's a kitchen in that building for the employees of the auction, and there's office space in that building. And those are all uses that Mr. Leahy would be using in conjunction with Mr. Carpy. He's just, in many ways, he's in many ways just extended uses that have been there for a very long time. I've got a copy of some of Mr. Carpy's licenses. I've got 5 copies, actually. And so you can each have one, but just so you know that and you can see that he has an auto repair and flammables license, and that he has an entertainment license enabling him to have TV, radio, and CD player in there for his employees. And he has a common victuals license enabling him to have a cafeteria in there for his employees, or a dining room in there for his employees. So these are uses that Mr. Leahy will continue. The best thing about this proposal, ladies and gentlemen, is that Mr. Carpy, being mindful of the vision of the city of Lynn and wanting to see the waterfront develop in a way that we can all be proud of, insisted with Mr. Leahy that if there's any meaningful development on that property, that if there's a chance to develop it in a way consistent with the zone ordinance and the waterfront master plan, that Mr. Carpy can give Mr. Leahy a year's notice to find another location to move up. So this is nobody would like more than certainly Mr. Carpy for that vision to come true, but it protects him in the meantime and enables him to defray his expenses until that vision comes true. From my perspective, it's a win-win situation, because we keep 100 jobs in the city of Lynn. We help one of the biggest believers in the city of Lynn, who has invested tremendously, the Carpy family, owning 19 properties in the city of Lynn. Seems to me the city has an obligation to look out for the people that believe in the city and that have invested in the city. And he gets a chance to pay his taxes until something grander comes along, and there's no harm because of the one-year opt-out provision. The standard for altering or expanding a non-conforming use, which Mr. Carpy's use is non-conforming, auto repair, the uses I just gave you, are non-conforming, is found in Section 48, Section 6 of the Massachusetts General Laws. And it says, pre-existing non-conforming structures or uses may be extended or altered, provided that no such extension or alteration shall be permitted unless there is a finding by the permit granting authority designated by ordinance or by law that such change, extension, or alteration shall not be substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming use to the neighborhood. Well, the existing non-conforming use is to sell automobiles at auction, and it's being used on a very small scale now, but because it is a non-conforming use, it could be used on a huge scale like it was before the auction moved to Billerica. And clearly, this is not more detrimental to the neighborhood. It's not more substantially detrimental to the neighborhood than that. This, this is the Linway. This is the building. Now, when I say this is the Linway, I take the Linway's down here. And because there's another building in front of this building, the Logan Furniture Building. So Linway's way down here, then Logan Furniture, then the auction building. Way back here is the dump, and way up here is the ocean. In the packet that I submitted with the petition, I submitted the required photographs, more than the required photographs. But one photograph is particularly revealing. It's this one here, which shows that that big mound in back of the property, that's the former city dump that's been capped, and stands between the back of the property and the ocean. So that's part of the reason why the dream of developing that property in a better way has been futile for many years, because there's a dump there that stands 10 to 12 feet high. All these mulch bins and crushed stone bins that Mr. Leahy would have in the very rear of the property are totally invisible from the Linway. The building with the blue awning, you can get a little glimpse of between buildings for a split second even, but you could not see this. In front, though, just for beautifying what's otherwise a huge swath of pavement, he would keep his trees and his plants, which will change on a daily basis, and it'll actually be pretty cool, I think. Not that you can tell that much of a difference from the Linway, but it'll be pretty cool to see the change on a daily basis, or on a weekly basis, certainly seasonally, as he buys plants and sells plants, and what's in season, what's out of season, changes. So that's what we're asking you to do, allow a use that can be made temporary, and that the parties have agreed will be temporary if something better comes along, to save 100 jobs and to help one of the biggest investors in the city of Lynn pay his taxes.
I got a question. The trucks, the equipment vehicles, where were they being parked?
Right here, what we laid out was, this is for a truck and trailer. So trucks would come in and pull into designated slots. So there'd be 2 rows of those. Some of the heavy equipment would be in the back.
So that was my question, was going to be, because it says employee parking.
Yes.
And I see a lot of employee parking, but.
Employee parking here and here, and this would be for any single trucks without a trailer or small block cabs.
And what is this behind the plantings? What are those, what is that?
These are just different bins of different materials. We sell 4 different types of stone. We sell 3 different types of mulches. We sell compost.
So where are all those going to things in the back? The same thing?
Yes, so this is just, I think we utilize 10 or 12 bins now for separate materials.
I just have a couple of questions about the mulch. I know my experience with mulch in other locations, and I'm not sure if that really applies here, is that it emits an odor. Is there going to be an odor that permeates down to the Linway? I mean, we have enough odors on the Linway, but...
Not anything that would...
Because I know it's quite a distance.
Right.
But that's something I just wanted to at least ask that question.
We spend almost 30,000 yards of mulch a year on properties, so we bring it right to the front doors of homes. So no, I don't believe it would be an issue.
Isn't most of the mulch pine bark mulch?
Pine, hemlock, yes.
What's the only problem with dust that you would have to put enclosures over these?
I'm sorry?
Dust from the mulch.
No, the mulch
From
would...
anything, from anything.
Again, I'm sure my neighbors on Sanderson Ave might
I know
disagree.
there's cars and trucks all over the place now.
Right.
But originally, the city intended, when they changed the zoning, to have a waterfront, and they put a lot of money into studies and everything.
Yep.
So if they have to make a move, like you said, everything is a year review on lease, is it? Is it?
At any time, no, at any time during the term of the
What is
lease.
the protection for the city of Lynn in that area? Because the district regulation is one.
You say what is the potential for the city of Lynn?
Yeah, like in other words, if they, no, someone comes up with a, like you said, a hotel or something.
Mr. Carpy is going to be very motivated.
Listen, they've been in there many times, they're good people, they own property, they take good care of it, I have no problem.
But if somebody wants to come and build a motel, the value of his property is going to skyrocket. He's going to probably drive in his car and hand deliver the notice to Mr. Leahy, and he's got a year left to find a new location.
And that's going to be in his lease.
It's going to be a provision in the lease that upon notice from the landlord, Mr. Leahy has to, we're going to define the trigger, development of the property. We haven't really worked out the definition of the trigger, but everybody understands that if there's a real development of the property, whether somebody pours a foundation there, or I don't know exactly how we're going to define the trigger.
Okay, now, it's in a call of the meeting that says,
To allow a landscaper's yard.
yeah,
water
landscape,
pressure.
yeah.
Yeah.
It says nothing about the building, so, you know, about parking, you gonna use that, the building you said?
Right, landscaper's yard said.
No, but I'm only saying that
Well,
usually that's included in whatever. See, people usually don't come in and say, we want to construct a contractor's yard, that's city council. You know, usually.
I think we have to do both, actually. You know, I talked to Mike Donovan about this, and I think we have to get your approval, and then Mike thinks.
Because of the use of the district regulation.
We have to, it's a non-conforming use, so we have to get a use variance from the board.
Yeah.
And then there's another provision in the zoning ordinance that says we need a special permit from the city council. So I said to Mike Donovan, you know, this look, you know, how do we reconcile these two? He said, you don't reconcile, you need them both. So, and that's the other thing that I was going to say, is when we get in front of the council, assuming that you guys allow this tonight, when we get in front of the council, I've already talked to Council Capano, the ward councilor, I believe wrote a letter, you write a letter? Yeah. Okay, so Council Capano wrote a letter in support of this. And I've already talked to the president of the council about if we get past the Board of Appeals tonight and we go to the council, I will sit down with the president of the council, who's a lawyer, and craft something where they can put a condition in the special permit that they can void the special permit if such and such happens on the Lynn Way. So we're not even relying on Mr. Carpenter, even though he would be economically motivated to do it himself.
Yeah, well, you can probably sell the property and then someone else comes in, but they can run.
Well, if it's in the special permit.
That's what I'm saying, how rigid is that, how, you know, how rigid is it?
Council Cahill told me he wants something special permit. We agreed
Okay.
that the city of Lynn can void the special permit upon certain conditions. And Council Cahill and I have not sat down together and settled on a particular wording, but we both understand the concept. He's been down to the site. He understands that what Mr. Carpy wants, the right to void the lease if there's, better kind of development on the site. And I get along extremely well with Council Cahill, and I told him I'm very confident we can craft language that we accept it for the city.
One thought I had was, what if we put on our variance, or is it a variance or a special permit you're requesting?
It's a variance. It's
Variance.
a use variance.
If we put a stipulation on ours that limits the variance to this lessee, so if this lessee were to vacate, then the variance is null and void. So as long as he's the lessee, Lake Landscaping, there's no problem.
We have no problem.
As the lessee, then the variance is...
Right. We have no
So
problem.
you would agree to that as a stipulation?
Yes.
Okay.
It seems like the main concern would be if the property sold the property to someone else, then your 5-year lease runs out, and maybe he wants to put, I don't know, something else back there. But it sounds like the council's got that worked out anyways.
Yeah, because for us to be, for Mr. Leahy to be able to go in, we need
a use variance from the Board of Appeals, we need a special permit from the city council, and they can make this a special permit revocable.
I do just have one more question on another issue. What's that?
Yeah.
Okay. You had both mentioned something about selling mulch and selling other items. Are there going to be customers coming onto the site?
Other contractors and occasionally customers, yes.
So you do have some customers?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wasn't sure. Where's the customer parking? Is that?
Well, when 50 trucks pull out during the day, there'll be plenty of spaces for customers.
And also right in front of the building, there'd be a row of customer parking, which we have now for our current customers. So right in front, it doesn't show on that plan, but right in front of, let's see, we're here. It says employee parking. And also is customer parking. There's a lot of land in this area. And
So most of your customers are going to be other contractors?
Contractors, homeowners,
Homeowners.
we're currently in the middle of a contract with the city of Boston for 1,500 street trees. So we have people coming in from the city of Boston, looking at the trees, tagging them.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just my own opinion, I think it sounds like a great use for that lot, with the stipulation that it be limited to this lessee. That's just my opinion.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Hearing none, hearing none, wishing to speak in favor. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone in opposition? Hearing none, the hearing is closed for opposition. I have a letter here from Mr. Capano. Dear Chairperson, I would like to be recorded in favor of moving the petition being presented by Attorney Tom Demarcus on behalf of Mr. Ken Coffey and Mr. Matt Leahy for the property located at 732 R Lynn Way to the Lynn City Council. I believe that there are many reasons to move this forward. I realize there are concerns about the use of this property because it is right in the middle of the waterfront master plan, and we all have high expectations for its use down the road. My concern is that Mr. Coffey is paying $200,000 worth of taxes each year on the property and is one of the biggest investors in the city. I think he should be able to offset some of his expenses by leasing his property until something bigger and better and more suited to the vision of the waterfront master plan comes along. Also, there will be a provision in the lease that Leahy Landscaping will have 1 year to move if there is development on the Lynway. This proposal does not include any new construction. Vehicles and equipment will be stored in the back and will be barely visible from the Lynway. It is also my understanding that they will be selling the same stuff that the Walmart Garden Center sells right next door. Leahy Landscaping is overcrowded on Sanderson Avenue and is actively seeking to relocate. This relocation would provide relief to that neighborhood and ensure that this business and its workforce remain in the city. For these reasons, I respectfully request your consideration in moving this proposal to the full City Council. Thank you in advance for your assistance in this matter. Sincerely, Peter Capano, Council Ward 6. What is the wish of the board?
I move that the petition be granted with the stipulation that this be limited to Leahy Landscaping Inc.'s lease. Said property.
Motion made by Mr. Mendez, seconded by Mr. Cole to grant. Please call the roll.
Mr. Mendez?
Yes, to grant.
Mr. Wood?
Yes, Mayor.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Callen?
Yes, correct.
Mrs. Curley?
Yes to grant.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Good luck.
Thank you. Ron, send those down so I can put them in the roll.
I just have a question. Discuss sharing. Do I go ahead and discuss sharing?
We can grow those. We can't grow this here.
Thursday, this Thursday, Saturday.
Let's see. Next case is Locus 9739 Grandview Place. Petitioner William J. McKenzie Davis Alley. Allow the construction of a single-family dwelling in the R1 single-family district on a lot with less than required lot size and frontage in Lynn. This is that little tiny corner. What is that little tiny corner here for?
Well, for a parcel of land that is owned by Mr. McKenzie, who's seated here in the first row, it's on Grandview Place. It's a remaining lot of a subdivision that has been approved by the Lynn Planning Board and by the Swampscott Planning Board. The reason we're here before you is that along the boundary of the city and the town line, it sort of cuts off the only access to this property. In terms of frontage, there's actually 69 feet of frontage, and then if you add the radius, there's another 25 feet, which is the end of Grandview Place. But that end of Grandview Place is in the town of Swampscott. So what makes this proposal unique and this lot unique is that it's in two separate jurisdictions, the town of Swampscott and the city of Lynn. There's an established case law which says that one can use land that lies in two different jurisdictions to satisfy what's so-called passive requirements, passive meaning area. And so what this lot lacks in Lynn is 10,000 square feet. It also lacks a sufficient lot size in the town of Swampscott, but it exists. And it exists in the plan that's to read here. And with respect to the other lots, they've all been developed with single-family homes. And that's what Mr. McKenzie proposes to do. If you've seen the site, the topography is sloping. There is no other access other than through the city of Lynn. The front door and the sleeping quarters would be in the city of Lynn, and that has some significance both for the city of Lynn tax purposes, as well as in the town of Swampscott. Essentially, the garage and the passive use is in Swampscott, but the standard that is applied on the property is in two different jurisdictions. Is you can't take a use that is not allowed in the other jurisdiction. This isn't like a lot divided by a district boundary between, let's say, apartment house and business, where the more restrictive and the less restrictive can be combined to do the less restrictive. This is a question of whether what you propose is a use that is allowed by both jurisdictions. So as is delineated on Mr. Reed's plan, this lot lies in a zone district in the town of Swampscott in which a single-family home is a permitted use. We put the chart there to show you the different and varying requirements of each city or town. But the only reason we're here in Lynn is that we have 69 feet of frontage. There's no frontage or access to this lot from the town of Swampscott. If you read the terrace that's shown there, it's a paper street. So the only way anybody can get to this other than by driving down that street in Lynn. And that street in Lynn is serviced as an accepted public way in the city of Lynn. And there's 69 feet of frontage. So we're short that requires 75 feet that's required for a single family, when in reality, there's much more than 75 feet of frontage when you do the radius at the end of that cul-de-sac. But that lies in Swampscott. Likewise, the land in Lynn is not sufficient. It doesn't meet the 10,000 square foot requirement, but the lot is in fact in excess of 12,000 square feet. But a large portion of that lies in the town of Swampscott. So you have the authority to grant the construction of this home by the varying of the lot size requirement and by the frontage. And this, I believe, is the lot that satisfies many of the requirements for hardship in that it is unique. There's no other lot like it. It's lying in two districts. It also is affected by soil condition and topography. And it has this limited access. The use that's proposed, as I say, is one that is acceptable in both places. And so what we're asking is permission to have the home constructed. I think you have one, but I brought plans for everybody to look at. And the other thing that's somewhat unique about this is the man who's going to build the home is standing right there. He's the owner of the land.
Yeah, I got one question.
Yeah.
With a lot of the lot is in Swampscott.
Correct.
And their zoning district, they call it A2.
But that's, I have the table of uses and a single-family home is permitted use in an A2.
No problem, but it does, but their area requirement is 20,000 square feet. You have to get a variance from the swap.
I don't believe so, because we're only using the land to make the link requirement. And there is no frontage. I don't think I'd have a chance at getting a variance in Swampscott for two reasons. There's no access from the town of Swampscott, none. Okay? And there's no frontage. And it'd be impossible to build on a lot that had no access or frontage. Because you have to have either access to an improved public way, or you have to have frontage on an improved public way, and neither exists in Swampscott. Now, this plan, as I said, is a result of what's called an A&R process by both planning boards, the planning board in Swampscott and the planning board in Lynn.
So they've dealt with it.
They dealt with it in the creation of these lots. And otherwise, the lot was lie fallow. There's no other way of developing.
I'm just curious whether or not you had to get a variance.
We, Ranch Story and myself purchased this land 8 years ago. We built the road.
Yeah, enough?
We bought 2 lots from the city of Lynn up here, properties.
From that surface property.
We have built 4 houses so far. This would be the 5th house. And then the one at the end of the property is complete. The previous one on the other side of this lot, the backyard was in Swampscott. And also, remember I don't know if you remember me about the taxes on the property, and then because it was so, but there was one again.
Mr. Earl,
No, go ahead.
I was just confused by this picture because can you come down here? When I went up Grandview Place, this is the end of the cul-de-sac here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I actually came through Swampscott down Eureka, and I found that Eureka Terrace was down here.
It's, Eureka Terrace is here.
Because when I drove down Eureka,
Right, but that's
all the way to the end, it's like a dead end's right in the middle, and I walked up there, and then I walked up the hill to this area here.
You probably walked up Archer Street at the end of, Archer Street. There's a roadway and it blocks off the
I
road.
was just went up the hillside and went up the road, came out a little bit wrong, so I just went, came around. I actually had a friend who grew up in Eureka out in Swampscott, so I had all the
So you came from Swampscott?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you see the road.
So what it is,
So that was, when you follow Eureka all the way down, that little street there, then I walked up, that was Archer?
that's Archer.
Oh, that's right next to the
And then
park.
goes up the top, then you walk up Grandview.
Oh, okay.
Now, this
I
road,
saw a street sign down that said Eureka Terrace that I came in there. It was down the bottom of Grandview.
it could be, but I know this is Eureka from all my previous, and this does not exist.
That's part of the
Paper road. It's part of the property. It's
I
between.
saw a sign down the end that said Eureka Terrace, when you could walk through to Archer. But anyways, and it wasn't, there was nothing staked out there. It would have been nice to have staked out. I could have known what I was looking for. It's
That's, I
just
had the same
confusing.
complaint. I went up there and I sat there, and all I saw was some person's house over here, grass, and a shed over here. I had no idea what I'm supposed to be looking at.
No, it's good, but anywhere
Yeah.
we're all
The shed is
Yeah,
The
there's
shed
a big
is
net up there.
on the corner of this property right here, and then it belongs to the Stories, okay?
That's Grant's house over here.
Yeah, the ranch is right there. And that's the shed right at the corner.
Yeah.
What about that net where the green area is? That's part of that one?
The green,
That big net, the big net, like we use it to play
that's
golf.
Grant's, that's the Stories at the top of the hill. That's not part of the lot,
What is
of
it?
this lot.
It's beyond that.
Yeah, it's part of the property there. It's a separate lot that's owned by Grant
Is
Stories.
that
Yeah,
another
but see,
wall?
it wasn't staked out.
Yeah, but there's no frontage. There's only, see,
There's no frontage to that.
right, that's the frontage of that other lot. It's 39 feet or something like that. But see, the sewer and the water, and everything else was put up the road. It's on that property right there. There's a telephone pole. The telephone pole is about 75 feet from the other telephone pole. And then it just turns the circle, and that's the layout of it.
Now, the house is going to be built, if I'm understanding this correctly, the town line I know goes through that lot, and the house is going to be built on the inside of
A portion of the house,
portion of the house.
like the front door and the sleeping quarters.
Will they pay taxes to both towns?
Yes. Ask them.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
So in other words, when I drove up and I sat here, I couldn't even see this piece of property, because what I was looking at belongs to somebody else.
I see a lot of staked out, there's no
So we
stake.
don't know what it was.
There is definitely stake under,
But where?
Well,
all
where,
right,
From a windshield, where would it be?
okay. There's one right behind the telephone pole that sits right next to the blue house, okay? Up the street, there's pins there, okay, that's the monument pin that Ralph Reed put in. The property shoots off that way. It's the flat surface there, all right? And it's just by that.
Yeah, but see.
That's the lot lines, not the foundation lines.
Yeah, yeah. If you ever lay out something you want the board to look at it easy, long stakes, fluorescent paint, everything in, signs. Because you drive up there, you don't know where it is.
I'm sorry, it
No,
was,
I'm saying-
I mean, it was at one time, this process has been going on, but it was laid out and sprayed up there, but the winter weather has taken it apart. It was done like 4 months ago.
We don't want to hear that. We want to know now.
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir.
Okay, all right.
I think it was done back in the...
No, we did it by the old pins and everything else. We just did it to make sure that people could see it.
I know, but it's not there for us to go up there. I sat there like, I had no clue as to where I was. I was at a dead end, there was a house over here with a woman looking out the window, like, what am I doing? Like, I was on her property, and
Probably
maybe
like
I
the
was.
water, was she neat looking?
And the shed was over there, and grass.
Oh, really? Okay.
So,
Is, the lot is, it's just this lot, this one's identified as lot 2 on the plot plan, is that's just a completely separate lot? And is not part of what's before us today, or is it? I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, I have no further questions.
did I ask a question?
Yeah, I'm just asking on the
No,
plot.
this lot is known as Lot 2.
So,
All of that triangle, crazy shaped lot is the lot, okay? It's like a series of triangles.
I thought it was a separate lot, that's one big lot.
Right, 12,891 square feet.
So it looks like about 70% of it.
And you see the line goes through.
Yeah, all right. It's like about 70% of it is swamp stock, something like that. 75, 80 maybe.
I think there's a lot of, if I'm understanding this correctly, there's a lot of lead track here.
Absolutely.
And all of this will-
Right, and that also affects the ability to place a house.
Oh, that's why you have it squished all the way to the
Yeah,
left.
this is all lead.
Yeah. That's right.
Goes straight.
Yeah.
There's no basement,
Yeah, the basement and all, you can,
not the garage, though.
the garage is,
Just the house.
that's why that's on the point, okay? But the other side is soft, when you get down there, because that's the original grade of it. And then it just goes off at the back side.
Yeah, that's come out nice since we first went up there.
Yeah.
It's a great view up there.
That is true. That is actually, you can see if you're high enough up.
I went right to the end of the street there,
Right.
just to look, you can see it.
Way on the plan, you like, you put a deck up there so you can get the view, because you can see from any room in the house.
It's just crazy that
Well, they put telephone poles up there, then we put bigger ones, okay, so the wire would be up higher. Then the cable company came and the telephone company put them right down through the middle so that everybody's second floor, the wires are just going through them, you know, so it's just happening.
maybe someday the city and the town will get together and open that up so that you can drive.
Well, but there's the people on either side.
I know.
Not be for that.
I know, it's just one of those fire things and safety and,
Yeah, but you know what happens is though that the city of Lynn is going to actually provide the services. They do now.
yeah.
Okay? So it makes less of an impact on the town of Swansea. But they collect revenue and the city of Lynn collects revenue.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Hearing none, the hearing is closed. Those wishing to speak in favor, anyone in opposition? Anyone in opposition? What is the Pleasure of the board.
the petition being granted.
Second.
Is that you, Mr. Woods?
Yeah.
Motion made to grant by Mr. Callen, seconded by Mr. Woods. Please call,
Mr. Mendez?
call the
Yes,
roll.
ma'am.
Mr. Wood?
Yes, to grant.
Mr. Cole?
Grant.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes, to grant.
Mrs. Curley.
Yes to grant. Good luck.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody.
Sure. I think.
I know.
Look, it's
You have-
9740.
I have one for the file.
55 Harwood Street, petitioner Joanne Samopoulos by her attorney Samuel A. Vitale, allow the continued use of a 2 3/4 story pre-existing non-conforming structure as a 3-family dwelling on a lot with less than the required lot size, frontage, and parking in the R4 apartment house district.
I'm Attorney Vitale. With me this evening is Riley Atkinson's brother Charles. Joanne is his sister. Joanne has a medical condition that limits her ability to be out and about this evening. This is the family home of the Atkinsons. They've owned it for 46 years. And a little history. It's in an apartment house district. And back in 1951, the planning board and the Board of Appeals sort of carved up Howard Street. And there are houses that are at the back that have access to rights of way, one of which affects this lot. When I went back and checked, in 1926 it was a 2-family. At some point, subsequent to when Stanley Persky, that people he may remember, he was the oil man, Mr. Persky, he owned these properties. He sold them, and at some point, this home was occupied by Jerry Laughlin, who worked for the city of Lynn, and Anna Laughlin, who worked at the courthouse. And this is a deed back in 1968. Why I show you this deed is that this is the deed from the Laughlins to Christie Atkins. Christie Atkins was the family patriarch. He lived in the urban renewal district, and he didn't really want to own a house, but they forced him out of where he lived. And they were explaining to me how their father was reluctant to own a property, but he had a growing family, and like many growing families in the city of Lynn, he had a dream that the kids would live there. And in fact, that's what happened. Many of them did, including Joanne and Arthur. Up until recently, everybody believes since they've been paying taxes for 46 years as a 3-family, and since it's laid out as a 3-family, with 2 means of egress from each floor, with a house meter, with it hardwired, it's a 3-family. What happened is their mother passed away. Joanne is the representative of the estate, and they wanted to dispose of the property, and they learned that there's some question about whether it is or isn't a 3-family. And that's when they came to me. And I applied that great legal theory that if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it's a duck. So I said to them, listen, we need to find indicia, things that show, other than the fact that it's taxed, because I know and you know that the assessors tax what they see. They don't make a determination about whether what they see is lawful, they just say that's what it is, okay? And so they've done it, but they've done it for 46 years, but they have good reason, okay? And the real question in all of these is like, well, how and when and how did this occur, okay? And I can only speculate, all right? But I do know the people who sold it to the atmosphere, and I do know who they were in the city of Lynn. And I do know that, on all intents and purposes, if you look at it, it's a 2 3/4 story building. It's laid out as a 3-family. So I went back and did a little research that I want to share with you. This is the 1968 Post Directory. I didn't bring my color marker with me, but I assure you that I looked at this. And when you leap down, you'll see that Jerry Laughlin in 1968 is listed, Jeremiah, and then Nellie Raftery and Patrick Raftery are listed at the property. And then, as I generally do, I jumped about 10 years, and I went to see who was there in 1977. And in 1977, I went and got the city directory, and there it is, Christie Yakis, Arthur's father, Joanne's father. I don't know who maybe you guys know, who Agnes Lascola is, or Louis Periodakis.
Louis Periodakis is my brother-in-law.
I'm your brother.
All right. And Agnes was,
It's a town.
yeah, it used to be W2 Grant. They used to be on Market Street.
So they had a family member, and they had many of the members of the family, as was the case in three-family dwellings owned by folks of a certain age, often who wanted to see their kids stay in the area. And I gotta say this, you guys were favoring, because I'm looking at the next one, and I see Christie Yakis, your father, near Agnes, and now I see George Pantelos. Am I saying his name right? Panteazlos. He lived there in 1984. You know him, Charlie? Yeah. Okay. So then, that's 1984, another 10 years. And then I went and looked at 1999, and the color changed to green, which makes this harder to read, but I can tell you that when I looked at it, I then found, and you guys ought to know these people, Edward Jackson and Janice, Joyce Yakis, and Nicole.
That would be my sister and daughter.
Your sister and daughter, okay. So these are people who were there in 1999.
Why should they have an asterisk next to some of these people?
Because they're the owners often.
So Panteazlos and whatever.
Somebody could be an owner, the city directory distinguishes between sometimes owners and tenants.
So this George Panteazlos was the owner?
I don't know, at that time, I think, Christie, was your father dead in that, by 1999? Was he deceased?
Yeah.
George never owned the property.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just asking, that's why it has an asterisk, the answer like that.
But then, as I indicated, and this is the field card of the city of Lynn, and you can see going back here to 2009, but clearly it's been taxed as a three-family for the 46 years. And it's described as, in the narrative section, as a three-family, okay?
Did they purchase it as a three-family?
Excuse me?
Did they purchase it as a three-family?
Yes.
Yeah, when Christie Yakis moved in, it was a three-family. That's why I'm saying, I tried to find out when did it happen. Because I know when he moved in was in that deed in 1968 when the Laughlins sold him the property. But there's other indications as well of this use. And again, these are from city records. And as you know, varying departments have different responsibilities, and they often carry out their own responsibilities. So Mary Yakis, that was your mother, right?
Right.
Okay. Mary Yakis was listed as the owner here in 1993, and here is the certificate of approval from the health department for the third floor at 55 Howard Street. And that, again, as you know, the city has an ordinance that when you're leasing property, you have to have them come in and inspect, and that's often when they say, well, this isn't a three-family. But they didn't say it in 1993, nor did they say it when Mary Yakis leased the same unit on the third floor in 1999. And so, as I say, the family went along thinking, this is a three-family, Dad bought it, and we've all used it, it's a three-family. When the question arose, and they came to see me, I went and then I found this. In 2005, this is a building permit issued. This is now, I think your sister and your mother are now owning the property because it says Yakis Mary Samopoulos Joanne, that's your sister. Right, okay. So this is a building permit from 2005, and it lists clearly that it is a three-family dwelling, and it's an approval by the building department to do work at the property. And things went on, as I say, until recently when their mother passed away. Their sister became the representative of the estate, and they were going to dispose of the property, and then the question arose as to what is its legal classification. And so I know that the concerns in the building department are that you have a house meter, which it does, that you have 2 means of egress from each floor, which it does, that you have a hardwired system for anything more than a 3-family, which it does. And so what it doesn't have, and that's why we're here, is it doesn't have 5 parking spaces. There isn't a lot on the street that has 5 parking spaces. And as you know, in 1964, that's when parking came in. And that ordinance says, and it's repeated in the current ordinance, that any building or structure or use that was in effect in 1964 can continue without having to satisfy the parking ordinance. So if you were there prior to 1964, the required parking was 0. Okay? In 1964, they adopted, and they have subsequently made changes to the parking ordinance as to number and design standards. But with respect to parking, I can't make the lot bigger. And one of the things that we talked about, these are the trade-offs in the real world. Well, maybe they say we could pave the backyard. And I said, well, I don't think that's a good idea, all right? And then they said, you know, there's always been one person, a single person, whoever, on the 3rd floor. There's never really been more than 3 cars. And the other thing that affects placement of parking is this right-of-way, which Mr. Nabursky created with the Board of Appeals help in 1951 to get to those properties that are at the rear. So we do not have 5 spaces. We do have 3 spaces. And it's my view that since it was a 3-family in 1964, and its required parking was 0, it does not have to meet the current parking, which you know is either going up or going down, depending on which structure of the city council, because they recently reduced it in certain areas to 1-to-1 ratio, and not 1-to-1. But nonetheless, that's one thing we don't have. And the lot's the lot. Once it was laid out by the planning board and the Board of Appeals in 1951, that's its size, and that's its frontage. And those are the 3 things that we cannot meet under the current zone ordinance. So the real question is, going forward, for people who pay the taxes, who live there, and they've got, and I'm going to let them give some of the great anecdotal stories they gave to me about how their father viewed all of this. They believe they lived in a 3-family, that's where they grew up, that was the family home, members of the family resided there, and I tried to ascertain when this happened, and the best I can figure is, after 1951, when Mr. Nabursky got approval to divide up the lots, and this is one of the things, I submitted many of the records that show the meters, that show whatever, but one of the things that I think that came back, this is another health department card that reflects what you see there, and you'll see on this card, the number of units is listed. This is in 1991. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 3, 1. So these are things that other city agencies looked at, and up until recently, no one had a question. And now, in order to deal with it, and here's that building, another form of that building permit where it says it's in Ward 5 and it's a 3-family. We need to resolve this. And I think in fairness to the people who A, live there, B, whose family paid the taxes, and C, in answer to one of the questions, purchased it in 1968 as a 3-family, that what we're asking you to do is give us the required relief now that would allow what they understood it to be recognized. And this is, I dug out, this was the plan, and I see the handwritten note by, handwriting was not, Eleanor Armitage, secretary of the Lynn Planning Board, that they voted in March of 1951 to do this layout, and this plan got recorded, okay? And you'll see, this is the lot, and they're all comparable lots. And in order to get to these back properties, they put these right-of-ways But whoever originally created the subdivision, all of the lots are like size. And they are of varying uses. Some are 2, some are 3, and some are 1s. But at some point after this, it became a 3-family. And it became a 3-family before their dad, Christie, acquired the property. And as far as their use and what their knowledge is a 3-family. And that's what I was able to assemble. And what I'm asking you to do, in fairness to the Yakas family, who've been longtime residents of the city of Lynn, and now who have had their mother pass away, their father is gone, and sister, who's the executrix, is ill, and these guys are no young spring chickens anymore. I knew Martha for many years as a developer, probably, I don't know if I represented you before the board was passed, but Arthur was a property owner. He was sensitive. I mean, he's well aware of these issues. And because I said to him, of all people out there, you should know. But, you know, it's like he lived in it. He never questioned it. And so I believe that it was converted. I think that even members of the health department, the assessors, the building department, the electrical department, and the fire department, they believed it was a 3-family. But if you're asking me, when did it occur, I can only narrow it down to some point between 1951 and the 60s. That's when it occurred.
Well, they have been paying taxes on a 3-family, that's very important.
This family's paid on it
That's
since 1968, I think. Yeah, that's the deed when we took it in there.
So Mr. Nagurski owned those 4 or 5.
He owned the whole.
So the planning department allowed him to basically
Cut it all out.
every one of those lots.
Right.
Gave every lot.
And he also came to the Board of Appeals because at that point in time when he was doing that, he couldn't even meet the then requirements, okay? But it was after that somebody became the owner of this property.
At that point, the front house was probably still a 2. They were allowing the 2-family in front and then allowing, which is created at this point, back then in 1951, you know, there was a tenth of as many cars as there is today.
Oh, yeah.
Now what you've got down there is, like you have in many areas, it's just no place to park the cars. People got signs out, every drive, don't block my driveway. I saw orange cones on the street.
Well, the best part of it though is that because of these rights of way, people are forced to deal with one another. Because you can't block some of these rights. People in the back couldn't get to their house if you didn't keep the right of way.
But at some point, somebody probably illegally converted it from a 2 to a 3. I don't know who. Because it's now on the market to be sold, right?
Yeah.
And did it get picked up by, did somebody pick it up and say, wait a minute, this isn't a legal 3?
The realtor told Joanne that he was uncertain. You know, you have people come in, and the realtors are very good about this and careful about this. But you see, I think there's plenty of evidence, including that building permit from the current building department personnel that say it's a 3-family, as well as the health. You follow, the health guys go up and do their thing, the building department goes up and does this thing, the fire department goes up and does their thing, the assessors go up and they do their thing. You put it all together, but at the end of the day, somebody's got to make a determination as to its lawful use. And we're asking you to be those somebodies based upon the accumulation of this and the anecdotal history that these guys can provide with respect to how it is they became a living house. And I have heard this story numerous times, and you probably have too, where it was the goal of lots of family members that they would buy a place and that the kids would live there. And we've had this issue in the past when it turns out that they treat it as a single family because Johnny grows up, he's 18, and he moves on the 3rd floor with his girlfriend. And then they have a kid and they move out, and then the next kid moves up to this. And that is not uncommon. And it's often the case with varying groups in the city of Lynn. Many people who immigrated here and had large families and wanted to stay here or had a dream that everybody would live under the same roof and nobody's going to move to Danvers.
After the war, there was a lot of that after World War II. But now, again, we're just in a different environment in the city between cars and apartments, and it's, that's a tough street. That's a tough street down there.
Where did the realtor find information that was listed as a Two,
Excuse me?
where did the realtor find it?
I'll tell you, I searched, and you know what I found? You see that plan that I showed you that I had? This plan right here, there's a Board of Appeals case in which Napersky, and I think I may have it, went before the board, and somebody had penciled in identifying what each of these were. So they told me, this is the recorded plan. You don't see anywhere on the recorded plan these identifying marks, but there is a plan where it says a 1 family, a 2 family, a 3 family. So when you see that, okay, but that, so I wasn't, obviously, I'm not trying to prove it's not a 3, I'm trying to prove it is a 3, all right? But you know what, that's an excellent question, all right? And because if you did what I did, okay, and you're consistent, and you go to the 1926 city directory, it says this is a 2-family, okay, in the 1926 directory. And if you come from 1926 forward, the only thing I could find were the electrical permits, which are generally pretty good. And that showed, over the years, 3 electrical permits. But really, to be lawful, you've got to have a 4th permit, which is a house meter, okay? And at some point, there's a house meter for the corridors, okay? And then, nowadays, to satisfy the fire department, you just can't have a battery-operated carbon monoxide smoke detector in a building that is 3 or more units. You need a hardwired system. And that's it. So, Corey, how did these permits get pulled? Well, because there are records in the building department that when somebody came in, they said, oh yeah, it's a 3-family, and they gave them the permit.
Is there any if this is granted by the board, will they have to sprinkle in a 3-family?
Well, see, the question here is, if you make a substantial alteration or if you change use classification, and that's why this is important, because if it's use classification in 1964, before the sprinkler law came in, then it's not a change in use classification under the state 8th edition of the building code, okay? If that were to be required, there are alternatives known as what's called 13D alternatives, which I discussed with them. But I don't know, I think they got the same argument that they can make to the Sprinkler Appeals Board that says, listen, for 46 years, at least that our family was there, it was a 3-family long before the sprinkler law came into effect. And we conform to the hardwired alarm system, and we conform in many ways to the other requirements, the health department, even the building department, on the electrical permits.
Well, I mean, you can't make a judgment on that.
No, because I given them, I said, listen, you want the good news or the bad news? So the good news is you might be a lawful 3-family. The bad news is somebody may say, okay, you are a lawful 3-family, and now you got to do X, Y, or Z. But I went through and asked. I said, what about the house meter? We have a house meter. What about a hardwired system? We have a hardwired system. So those things were all addressed by somebody. So at this point, that's an unanswered question. I know what I would say as far as why I think it's inapplicable. I think going forward, if somebody were to build such a building in this day and age, they absolutely would have to be required.
Okay.
But many of these properties, as Mr. Cole pointed out, they were there, they were laid out back whenever, when it was a different time.
My only question was just, I'm trying to figure out why you're here. Is it just because the realtor saying that they weren't sure, or is there anything from inspectional services?
No, because you can't misrepresent if you're selling a property, okay? And
So the realtor wasn't sure?
right, and that led, and the woman, Joanne, who's their sister, said, what do I do? Arthur knew me from when Arthur was in the real estate business and developing properties, and said, what do we need to do? And I explained to him that you can't rely on the assessor, you can't rely on that the guy who ultimately, it's Mike Dunn, who ultimately makes the call. And of course, he knows that to make a determination, to make it lawful, that's up to you.
And the only other thing I'd say is I did look at Patriot Properties. It's been a 3-family since at least 1999, so according to the tax records. So they have been paying taxes as a 3-family for years.
And they've got the benefit from it.
Yeah.
Well, the family, see, that's the other thing. The family, absolutely. Many of them, the family members live there, okay? But unfortunately, that's a
day and age that apparently is gone and changed nowadays. And as people age or move out or get old or infirm or ultimately pass on, it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, young Johnny or their granddaughter or somebody's going to move in there. And then they've got an obligation, because they're siblings, that they can't each divide it up into 1/3, take a floor, they have to resolve.
And there's no proposal for changing the structure, or
No,
there's no addition to be put on?
No.
This is just a
right,
sort of on paper, you want to confirm it's a...
right, we want to recognize it. I'll tell you this, quickly, it's a true story, anecdotal, but true, okay? I'm responsible in many ways for this being a problem. There was, and you may remember, there was a provision in the zone ordinance that said any building that was 2.5 stories or more could be converted to a 3-family. And Mrs. Wright was a member of the Board of Appeals to stop me, because I was in Pine Hill converting 2.5-story buildings into 3-family condominiums, okay? And then Dick Carpenter was responsible for he got fed up, okay? Because they kept trying to tinker with the zoning ordinance about increasing, if you have 3,000 feet for each unit, you can do whatever. So finally, Dick had them rip out that section from the zone ordinance. So no longer could you take a 2.5-story building and convert it to a 3. It disappeared. Less than a month after that happened, who's the first person that called me up and said, you have to help me? True story. I got a guy who's lived 26 years. I knew the house because I went to Lynn High School. I got a house on Tracy Ave. The man's got 4 months to live. He's dying of cancer. He goes to sell his house. They tell him it's not a 3-family, it's a 2-family. I go, Dick, what do you want me to do? You took it out of the ordinance. He said, you'll find a way. Okay? So I had a very compassionate individual. People wanted to help this guy. All right? So that's when I came up with it, walks like a duck and it talks like a duck. I said, duck. I got all this other evidence. I assembled it. But I didn't know what to do, so I filed to correct the records of the building. And they did. And having success doing that once, I then came back. And Mr. Starrett came to me and said, you got to stop that. You're making us look bad because you keep saying correct the records. The records aren't wrong. The records are right. Okay? So then I began to use, and as you know, I find the structure, because most of them are pre-existing non-conforming, and this goes back to my Jesuit training about philosophy, that the difference in number between 2 and 3 is a degree or volume. It's not an essential difference. Essentially, that is a residential home. Okay? The difference between being a 2 and 3, that's degree of volume. Okay? So I then came to use the non-conforming use. That it's this is a non-conforming structure because it doesn't meet the lot size, the frontage, or one of the setbacks. All right? But I was sensitive to what had been another critical comment made by some members here, that how come you're doing this when you should be seeking a variance? So I give up. I'm going to try to play by the rules that are in effect. But, you know, we have a saying in the law that hard cases make bad law. And what that means is every once in a while you've got to sort of bend because it's not as easy. And that's why engineers make lousy lawyers and lawyers make lousy engineers. Because if you ask a lawyer, he will tell you that 2 and 2 is 4 most times. Some less than engineers are going to say it's always 4. So there's a bit of gray. This is in the gray. I know these people. I look back and I found this evidence. And I really come before you if I just had one piece of evidence. Or I couldn't corroborate or confirm. Because I've seen people do that, okay? You've seen people do that. But I think here that the totality of this evidence is they didn't make it an illegal 3. They did limit it to the point where they never even questioned it. There's a guy I know who developed property. He knows what's required. But he didn't look and say, geez, Dad, you got an illegal 3 family. He just lived there until his mother passed away, and now his sister's got the problem of dealing with the property for the benefit of all the siblings, and we're just trying to address it in family.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Hearing none, the hearing is closed. Those wishing to speak in favor. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone in opposition? The hearing is closed for those wishing to made by Mr. Callen, seconded by Mr. Mendez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Mendez?
Yes, Frank.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
No.
Mr. Callen?
Yes, Grant.
Mrs. Curley?
Yes, to grant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Locus 9737. 7 Burn Street, petitioner Burn Street Trust, Loggett House. Allow the conversion of a single-family structure to a two-family structure in the BD with less than the required area of frontage and adequate off-street parking.
I'm Robert Dawson, the owner of the property. I purchased the property similar to Echo, so like Dolly said, I bought it as a two-family. I put substantial work into the house. I put a tenant in the house. It's being occupied as a single family, but it walks like a duck, and it talks like a duck. It's a duck. 2 means of egress in the basement. It's everything that two-family would need is there. It's tandem parking, 2 spots in the driveway, 1 spot in the garage. I know it doesn't meet the requirement, but there is 3 spots. I found out the same way Mr. Vitale's clients found out. I marketed the property for sale. The realtor called me, told me that there was an issue. The buyer came to City Hall. I've been paying taxes on it as a two-family. It's registered as a two-family to the registry of deeds, and it's being, we were told that it's not a two-family to the City of Lynn. So we made the appeal to convert it to a legal two-family on paper through the City of Lynn.
So you bought this in April
Yes, sir.
for 135, and now it's on the market?
Yes, it's under contract for 233. I had a friend of mine back in Grafton put a new water line into the house. We did substantial work. New roof, new kitchen, 2 new kitchens, 2 new bathrooms, 2 windows, and, it's definitely the nicest.
Toughest little street to get up and down.
It's tough, and the neighbors' houses are in disarray, despicable condition.
I don't even have a parking plan. Everybody consider it as a parking
Well,
plan.
the parking plan is through 2 tandem spots in the garage.
So, I just said I usually have a parking plan, it's not meant for that. That's what you do.
One wasn't submitted?
Everything went,
This is what you use when you bought the property, right?
Correct.
Yeah. This isn't normally what we accept. We accept something that, like this one here, that shows parking for certified plot plan.
We got a certified plot plan in there as well.
Oh, is it? I didn't see that, sorry.
We put it with the submission.
Well, let's take a look at it, because I haven't seen it.
The only thing we didn't bring was Mr. Capano's letter, which that was the only thing I didn't have prior when I had to submit.
When did you talk to Mr. Capano?
I spoke to him. I own Bruno's right down the road, so he came to my building there because I had to do a change of use for my tenant next door at 860, which I also own.
Gee, this is the, this looks like it's the only one that
There's a certified plot plan.
I think
what can you find in the paperwork there?
It's this paperwork, I don't.
No, this is certified, is that what you're talking about?
No, it was on an angle. It was there. I gave it all to Kathy.
Yeah, this is another one of those. It was listed 96 as a one family.
Yeah, I think it was, I went through the archives upstairs. I think there was an illegal conversion in like 1999. I think that's what happened. Because I bought it as a two-family. I bought it from a bank as a two-family. I've been paying taxes on it as a two-family. It has a meter as a multi-family.
Then how did you just find out it's not?
Because we had it under contract, and the realtor called me and said the buyer went to City Hall. The same way Mr. Vitale's client found out through the realtor. And they extended the closing. We were supposed to closed in February, they extended the closing to March 31st, so March 29th. As a result of it, and I had to come here for this hearing and spend the additional
Well, I don't
money.
understand how you were able to purchase it as a two-family if it wasn't, somebody else was having to go down to City Hall. and buy
Lately,
it.
realtors have been they've been doing this because I think there was a case law where a realtor actually got sued for marketing a two-family.
Yeah, that
wasn't a two-family.
It's a fraction.
So realtors are actually getting very cautious about this. They should, so it's a new thing, which is good.
Yeah, they
Yes,
definitely should. I agree, but.
But that's why I don't.
And I own quite a bit of property. I'm in Lynn, Revere, Saugus, Dorchester, and I'm surprised it got by me, but it did, for better or for worse.
Go back to the bank that represented as two-family.
I have title insurance. I could go by claim title, but I would prefer for the people that are interested in buying it to buy it and move on with it.
Well, we don't have a parking plan here.
I put one with the plot plan, so I'm not sure.
Will you just look at the paper?
I did have,
Yeah, there's no money on the table here, so.
Okay, well, I submitted everything that Kathy when it was.
It's going to be, Mr. Chairman, I feel he needs that to go forward. I don't think, I mean, everyone submits it.
It's a driveway, it's a two-spot tandem parking.
What's a driveway, we're saying.
You see what everybody else had to go through here tonight?
I sat there, I haven't go where. I was like, okay, I guess it is. It was along with that paper you have right there. The right behind that paper between along the history of the section.
What is this?
There was this piece of paper that showed the two cars in the driveway with the dimensions of the driveway and the garage. And then a rule piece of paper.
well, it was on a little piece of paper, and that's not a sort of.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm sorry, it wasn't a plot, it was a parking plan.
Oh, same thing.
Okay.
Same thing.
It's not here. It has to be a certified parking plan.
Okay, so what has to be done?
This is what I. What the, get it right.
Not to continue with.
See, you don't have enough paperwork.
Okay, that's fine.
See, but you want us
Are
to.
they gonna continue to April? And if I want to withdraw it and not go through this again and just keep it as a single family, and I can do that?
Yeah.
Okay, you'll notify me if it's for another continuance, or how does that work?
They'll decide right now.
Do you want to continue, or do you want to
I'll
withdraw?
let you know, let's continue it, and if I decide to withdraw, I'll withdraw. I like that my option. I don't want
Okay,
to-
well, usually they will try to before the hearing. So, but we have to allow them at some time, 30 minutes.
Let's proceed with the hearing, and if anything changes, I obviously won't show it, it'll be denied, correct?
No, we don't normally do that. We wouldn't normally, we want.
Well, I can't make a decision because I have to speak to the buyer. I can't speak for them. They're not here.
And you probably don't want us to deny it, because then you can't come back in 2 years to ask for it again.
Exactly. So I
Right,
think
so
it's
you have that ready for the next meeting?
yeah, but
Yeah.
all you need is a certified plot plan, correct?
Just a minute, so that,
No problem. Yep.
Block plan or parking plan? You said block.
I said parking plan, he said plot plan, he told me it's the same thing.
No, we're looking for a
listen, we're looking for a parking plan right now. You have enough evidence, the other,
So a certified parking plan from the surveyor? Okay.
Yeah, so look, you know what they do? So they take this plan, which this is not certified, I don't believe, this was one of those done, this wasn't done.
what's that, a tape survey?
Yeah, tape survey. most
Yeah,
likely.
for a mortgage.
So you need somebody, a registered
Landscape.
surveyor
Okay, no problem.
to lay it out, and then they will put in the spaces.
Right.
Yeah,
And he shows the dimensions from the lot lines. That's why you're gonna get that. That encloses encloses the envelope of the,
No problem. Are we asking them to do an instrument survey? Or just a parking plan? I'm not saying.
they have to show where the house is on the property. The only way they can do that is with an instrument survey. And that's what I'm saying. They use
Instrument survey is very
What's
expensive.
that? I don't know that these things.
Wait a minute, no, it isn't.
Yeah, it's extremely.
I mean, they look up the records.
Yes, but I have to find out what the cost is before I say, you know, it's, I've been paying taxes on a two-family. I'm not receiving the benefit of a two-family. It's being leased as a single family. The upside for me is the money on sale. I own quite a bit of property, I don't mind holding it. For me, I had to spend 11 or 12 or whatever it was, $1,300 for this.
So this property hasn't been used as a two-family?
Never, not as far as I know, didn't know.
So it's been used as a one-family. How long have you owned it?
A little less than a year. I have a subsidized tenant. It's being used as a two-family, but I'm not benefiting it as a two-family.
It's being used as a single-family.
Two-family, but I'm releasing it as a one-family.
So are you saying there's a vacant unit?
There's a vacant basement, yes.
So the second unit is a basement unit?
Basement unit.
Below grade?
Below grade.
Oh, that kind of changes things.
Well, that's not even allowed in the zoning.
There's windows in the basement, it's not.
Do you have some evidence that it was, I mean, I see that it was taxed as a two-family, but I think you probably heard Attorney Vitale say that's not dispositive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But do you have some evidence that this was ever approved as a two-family?
You walk into the unit, and there's.
I'm not talking about what you walk in and see.
It's fine.
When did it become a two-family?
There's no evidence of it, other than the applications that were filed with the building permit in 1999.
And that just is information from the tax records,
Correct.
which is not dispositive.
Correct.
So
It's everywhere it's listed as a two-family, but in the city of Lynn. Patriot Property says it's a two-family, the Red, everything, it's a two-family. There was never a legal transfer, or however you designate it.
You know, the reason for that is because in the records of the building department, it doesn't show. That's what they go by.
I'm sure there's a reason for it, but.
Yeah, the assessors.
Yeah, the assessor says anything, I get it. But it's a basement studio.
below grade.
Well, it's not below grade, it's a step down. It's one step, it's 8 inches. There's
When
four
you're
windows.
when you're standing in the unit, in the basement unit, are your feet below the surface of the ground?
In the front part of the unit, yes. In the back part of the unit, no.
So it's partially below.
Partially below.
Yeah, what's the distance from the ceiling?
To the floor.
No, down to the grade outside.
On the area where it is below grade, 4 feet.
Supposed to have 6 feet.
4 feet, yeah,
Oh, that's it.
4 feet.
You can, if you have 6 feet or more, yeah, you can do that, otherwise it violates the zoning.
So that answers our question.
Can we give this information? I'm not to make this a two-family.
No, I'm
Places that use those more.
yeah, I'm not wasting. I'm not wasting money having to get us clean up their house. So I can get more money down. What's that? Yeah, I'm going to withdraw it now, so. So what do I just say, withdraw or?
Yeah, and then we have to vote on it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm making the motion. Oh, you haven't heard from any, we haven't heard from any.
Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of this?
No, not in favor of it. I live next door. And I believe you already said Burn Street is crazy busy already.
Where do you live, 5 or 11?
I'm in 5.
Part of the problem.
On the other side of the driveway, right? And I got the used car lot.
Would you just give your name, sir?
Sure, it's Michael Jones.
And you're speaking in opposition.
Yes. Yes, I've owned 5 Burn Street for, I believe, 27 years. Okay, and now I live there by myself, right? And it's already traffic and parking is already a problem. I've got the used car lot on the opposite side of my house.
He's got to withdraw, so.
Oh, fine. Fine, then we can stay friends, right?
I'll make a closing here. Did you have a question?
No, it's very, very close.
Wait a second.
What is the wish of the board?
Yeah, what is the wish of the board?
Make a motion that allow the individual to withdraw the petition.
Sorry.
Motion made by Mr. Cole, seconded by Mr. Callen, to allow you to withdraw.
Thank you.
Is this withdraw without prejudice?
Yes.
30 seconds of this.
No, withdraw without prejudice, we're doing you a favor.
Thank you.
So, please call the roll.
Mr. Mendez,
Yes, to withdraw.
Mr. Wood,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Ms. Gelman,
Yes.
Mrs. Curley.
Yes.
So just so I know, did I hear you guys say that he can't ask again for 2 years?
No, now we can.
He withdrew. He wants to
He withdrew without prejudice, which means he can come back next week.
Which
But
we don't have.
What's that?
it really happens.
He's not gonna, he knows
He
it's not
doesn't
gonna
even
fly.
realize, he doesn't even know what we're talking about without prejudice. He didn't even wait to finish hearing us, so.
So you're telling me I don't have anything to worry about?
Well, we'll have, if he comes back, we'll have to be notified
I will.
all over.
You want my phone number too, or my address, or?
Did you get a card about this?
I did.
You'll get a card again.
Okay.
Tax
Good.
money back,
Because,
right?
you know, I'm too old to move, and
It's tax money back.
you're all familiar with that street?
Oh,
Yes. We all have.
You know, we got buses and semi-trailers going, so even if somebody is parked on our side of the road, the big vehicles can't get by. So really, nobody should park. They should almost put, I would prefer no parking.
Good sign up, yeah.
What's that?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, the other side of the street technically is, I think, posted no parking, but people still park there. Because we got the lawnmower
You
guy.
got a business there.
Well, we got the lawnmower guys. Yeah, well, I'm friendly with people, they never had a problem and all this. Well, I guess it's worth me coming.
Yes, it was.
No, we have to do
Oh,
it.
that's how much?
So, yeah.
Other business. We have more cases.
Yeah.
Other business.
Oh, sorry.
I never saw that.
Okay.
Good night.
About 15 months, yeah. I still need to call Attorney Moran.
Okay, what's the other business?
I can call it.
We got Murphy, yeah, and we got 39 Campbell. There's on 39, we're requesting an extension. I'm not familiar with this, I have not seen this. Is this the lot that came out to River Street?
This is Mezakowski,
Yep.
consultant of all stipulations.
It was, yeah, this is like a subdivision, the lots have been put together.
Yep.
She lives on Campbell Street, and the other lot was on, Ron sat on this, and Dick and me and Jean.
Wasn't this the Salini house was like next door, that they said it messed up the water table or something?
There was opposition at the first meeting.
What are they requesting? What
It's
is?
just recent.
Just a continuation.
You should give a 6-month extension.
Yeah.
Or to do the work?
Or maybe to file a, was it Lynn? The letter from Sam. Captain Brown, Chairperson Brown, with respect to the above referenced matter, please consider the petitioner's request to extend the time for performance for relief granted April 7, 2015. So here's my question on this one. We granted this in last April, so this will, usually they ask for a period of time, right?
6 months.
Either 6 months, they can have up to a year.
Right.
There's no request here, so I guess it's up to the board to decide if they want to grant a 6-month extension. But,
Can I get some clarity, Norm?
sure.
So this case came before us, and This was the old lady that wanted to build the house on the lot that abutted her behind. She owned through street to street, right?
That's right.
And we approved that?
Yes, we
We
did.
did, yeah.
Yes.
And it was never the intent, I don't believe, for her to live there.
Right.
The intent was for her to sell her house on Camden, and then she did be able to market this house. And we dealt with plans that would deal with the, at the time, the floodplain.
Right.
So we were very specific about the house, what it was gonna look like, it was gonna be a one-story house. We spent a lot of time on this one.
So the neighbor was very against it too at the time.
So she didn't build the house yet,
No,
and now they're looking for a 6-month extension.
I don't even know if she sold her house yet. I don't even know if she's still living in Camden Street.
Is there any reason why they're not here to
Yeah, right.
answer questions?
The letter was submitted by attorney by Carol.
Yeah, Sam could have hung around a few more minutes, but,
Did you forget?
so this is gonna expire shortly.
Before our next meeting.
Yeah,
I don't know who was sitting on it. It doesn't matter.
yeah, it was only, it looks like there was only 4 of us sitting on this.
Who was it?
No, it was Ron and Dick and myself and Gene. Yeah. Yep. Yep, it was just 4 of us in this case. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't mind. I'll make a motion to grant a 6-month extension.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Cole, second by Mr. Mendez, to grant them a 6-month extension.
Mr. Mendez?
Yes, Grant.
Mr. Wood?
Yes, again.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Town? Mrs. Carroll?
Yes.
Murphy, do you have any communication from the law department?
Just notified by Attorney Milana that the judge wanted this to come back.
Was it remanded to us, or?
Just asked her to come back to take another look at it, or
What do they have?
another opinion on it.
Is there anything in the file from the court asking us specifically what they're looking for us to do?
Just to all Jim Milana said was to just take another look at it, just not anything.
Yeah, so we have to have another hearing this form, and they send it back to us.
Well, tonight, did you talk to Attorney Lamar?
I haven't.
I did, I talked to him.
We just set up a future meeting.
Which one's Murphy?
No, he said to just bring it in as, new business,
Yeah.
to just reconsider.
Okay, so put it on the agenda.
It was on the agenda.
So
We're
he's,
supposed to do it today?
It's on the agenda.
To the
Sent
court
to
hearing
everybody.
today.
to discuss it, or take another vote, we go.
Can we refresh on it? Where was Murphy at?
Let's see who was on this one. I spoke to Attorney Lamar about this. Ron was on it, myself,
Ron and Mr. Cole with the 2 that you got.
and Gene, and yeah, it was Gene
This is just on
and Pat. Yeah.
It was three in
This was
favor.
the
No,
reconsider.
it was one denied to reconsider.
Oh, yeah. So my understanding from the attorney, and if you want to talk to him, I did, it's not been, yeah, it's not been remanded back to us.
You have the minutes, Gene.
To take us,
I'm sorry?
You have the minutes in that folder.
it was to take a, just, he hasn't decided what he's going to do, he just said to take another look at it. There was no, it wasn't to have a new hearing, it wasn't.
I just was taking a look at it.
To maybe discuss it, we vote or whatever.
Where's Murphy at? You know where it is?
Top of Weston Ave, you know where Steffi's is?
So,
Right across,
Yeah, so-
down Steffi's right there.
yeah, there's only 4 members that sat on this. Dan was the chairman at the time.
Was it to build something new there?
No, converted 2 to 3.
So are we going to reconsider it and schedule a hearing again, or?
I'm not asking that, not asking, he's not asking us to have a formal hearing. He just wanted us to take a look at it, just to make sure we,
So
I guess,
my vote doesn't change.
felt the same way. I'm not changing my vote. I mean, I'm gonna send it back and then see what he wants to do with the judge wants to do from that point of view.
Yes, I can't speak.
These two are gonna deny it again anyway. So what's the point?
They have to give the judge an answer.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't sound like the judge even is asking, I mean, a judge would either remand it to us for some kind of finding of fact, or they would.
Well, you can look over the grant.
Well, yeah, they can look over and grant them our denial, but they're not doing any of that. It doesn't sound like, so I'm not exactly sure what we're supposed to do with it.
Well, I mean, my vote's not gonna change.
And mine is.
Yeah.
Well, we just revote.
That's what I said.
Well, Dan's not here, so it's not it, so it would just be the four of us.
What is the board?
So how do you wanna handle this?
I don't really know what to do.
Revote.
Maybe just send Attorney Romana a request for clarification as to what he wants us
Or just tell them our vote hasn't changed?
to, or just to send it.
Our votes haven't changed?
No, we're supposed to have a public hearing.
Well, that's my question.
Our votes haven't changed, and that's the end of that.
Yeah,
And
some,
then let the judge decide what to do.
Yeah, just take a vote.
well, I did, if we sent a letter from the chairperson,
Well, that could be in a minute, so our vote hasn't changed.
yeah, saying that the vote, there is no change in the.
No change in the vote?
In the vote, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was never able to touch base with him, so I'll call him tomorrow.
You want anything else, I'll put that on. Okay.
So we, Jim?
Motion to